condescending,
It's $1 million bottle of wine.
defensive,
You were out from the moment you sat down.
overly confident.
What do you think I've been doing for 3 years?
The Shark Tank is a battleground for ideas, ambition, and the shark's patience.
Kevin, you're out. You're out.
For every $1 million idea, there's a pitch that crashes and burns. Today, we're diving into the biggest egos to ever step foot in the tank. These are the stories of entrepreneurs who may have had great ideas, but whose attitude, it sabotaged their chances. James Martin, Copa di Vino.
I'm weeping for the opportunity lost.
Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.
Well, he did come back, but not as a shark, not with that kind of attitude. Back in 2011, Martin spotted a gap in the wine industry, and he saw an opportunity.
My name's James Martin. I'm CEO and founder of Copa di Vino.
His big idea, Copa di Vino, a single-serve wine cup sealed with a lid, built for convenience and portability. Martin believed he had something revolutionary when he walked into the Shark Tank. And with big expectations, he made a strong first impression.
Copa di Vino.
He laid out his vision, the untapped potential of his product, and a market hungry for new ideas. Not just one, but 3 revenue streams, all from a single brand. His pitch was bold, his sales figures impressive. But then it all started to unravel. The sharks grilled him. Sales numbers, actual demand, future projections, they wanted it all.
Well, we've been in the market for 5 months, and we've had $500,000 of sales.
And Martin, he couldn't back it up. But here's the thing about Martin. He wasn't about to back down. He believed in Copa di Vino. He believed it could change the wine game. So when Kevin O'Leary put $600,000 on the table for 51% of the IP, Martin said no.
The answer is no.
He stood his ground and walked off set.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
Thank you, guys.
But that wasn't the end. He came back for a second round. And somehow it was worse. This time he didn't just reject the shark, he mocked them. From sipping his wine mid-discussion to presenting a bottle labeled Dead Man Walking, a direct shot at Kevin O'Leary.
You screwed around. You're playing games, and there's nothing I hate more than playing games.
It was clear. Martin wasn't there to negotiate. He was there to gloat.
These are the top experts in the country who told me what my company's worth.
But none of them gave you any money.
And instead of gaining respect, he alienated the sharks. He wouldn't stop bragging about how lucrative his company was, but the more he talked, the less they listened.
Cheers.
Kash Shaikh, BeSomebody. Kash Shaikh walked into the Shark Tank with a big idea. A platform he claimed would revolutionize the way people learn new skills.
I'm calling. I'm calling every single one of you out.
His pitch, a booking platform where passionaries, skilled professionals, would teach others through hands-on learning. He called it BeSomebody.
My name is Kash Shaikh. I'm the founder of BeSomebody.
It started as a blog, but it grew into an app, designed to connect people with mentors for experiential learning. On paper, it all sounded pretty solid. Technology, convenience, those are always in demand. But here's where things went south. Kash walked in with big energy and even bigger expectations. He asked the Sharks for $1 million in exchange for 10% of his company.
We're seeking $1 million for 10% of our company.
And while his pitch had energy, it also had a problem. Mark Cuban was the first to pull the plug, accusing Kash of preaching.
For preaching always equals less money for the investor.
Barbara called him enormously abrasive.
Abrasive.
And one by one, the Sharks bailed. Herjavec, Lori Greiner, and Damon John all questioned the app's viability and, more importantly, its liability.
Leave it aside for a second. In the end, Shark Tank's about making money.
But it was Kevin O'Leary who delivered the final blow. He looked Kash dead in the eye and said just one word: zero.
Zero.
This pitch went from promising to disastrous. It's often called one of the worst pitches in Shark Tank history. Now, to be fair, BeSomebody was later acquired by Utivity Holdings in 2017. But even that win didn't last. The app shut down just a year later due to, you guessed it, lack of demand. Kash had vision, but what he didn't have was revenue, and the sharks picked up on it. His persistence quickly turned into arrogance, and in Shark Tank, there's one thing that never sells: attitude.
I mean, but you gotta understand,
He's running out of cash.
The sharks walked away, and Kash left the tank with no deal. Jared Joyce, 5-Minute Furniture. Jared Joyce entered the tank with big ambitions and a $1 million valuation for his company. He was seeking $250,000 for a 25% stake, offering a product that promised to revolutionize furniture assembly. His designs could be put together in under 5 minutes using a unique locking joint system.
So there is no confusion as to what part to grab.
No screws, glue, no hassle. At first, the sharks were intrigued by the whole concept.
Like nothing you have ever known. Simply drop it in, quarter turn, and boom, can't come apart.
But then, Joyce revealed something that changed everything.
We currently have over 80 products in the portfolio, and this is one of them.
In addition to 5-Minute Furniture, he was developing multiple other products. And those? They wouldn't be part of the deal. This was a deal breaker for the sharks. And Joyce? He didn't take it well. But neither did the sharks. Damon John asked why they wouldn't get a share of his entire research and development company as a whole.
Company or in this one product?
Including his portfolio of over 80 products.
Why aren't we getting offered anything in the company in general?
One of those products had already sold over 10,000 units. But Joyce's response?
Hey, let's get married.
He compared investment to dating.
And I'm saying, hey, buy me a drink first.
That didn't sit well with Damon.
This is a real slick Willie over here.
He called Joyce Slick Willie, like he was some kind of used car salesman. Robert Herjavec, he flat out didn't trust him.
I like the product. I just don't trust you.
As the pitch progressed, Joyce's confidence began to feel less like conviction and more like arrogance. He saw himself as an inventor extraordinaire, but the sharks? They didn't see it that way. Despite the frustrating pitch, Lori Greiner and Kevin O'Leary still saw potential in 5-Minute Furniture.
I don't want all of your other stuff, the baggage that goes around with this.
They offered $250,000.
I'll put up $125,000, but I want 100% of this.
But only if Joyce sold them 100% of the company. For them, the product was worth investing in. But the baggage that came with Joyce? Not so much. Unsurprisingly, Joyce declined. He refused to give up total control of his company.
I would not be doing right by my investors.
So he walked out of the tank with no deal. What followed was a masterclass on how to get an investor's attention and then destroy any chance of a partnership with a high-output, heavy-duty flamethrower. It was a missed opportunity for him. But he stuck to his guns and didn't back down. The irony? That same attitude is exactly why the sharks didn't want to partner with him in the first place.
So I am very much interested in becoming a partner with you.
For me, I like our deal.
After the show, Joyce teamed up with Edison Nation, a product development firm, to continue working on 5-Minute Furniture. But the results? Disappointing. The collaboration didn't lead to commercial success, and eventually the product disappeared from the market. Jared Joyce became a classic Shark Tank example of how not to present your product. His unwillingness to compromise and his evasive responses put the sharks off completely. And it proved one thing. Even a great product can't overcome a lack of trust. Confidence is crucial, but so are humility and transparency. Scott Jordan, Technology-Enabled Clothing. Scott Jordan's pitch for technology-enabled clothing on Shark Tank in 2012 was anything but smooth. The entrepreneur entered the tank seeking $500,000 for a 15% stake in his innovative clothing line.
Hi, my name is Scott Jordan. I'm the founder and CEO of Tech.
Designed to integrate tech accessories like phones, chargers, and gadgets into the fabric. To be fair, it was an interesting concept. But Scott, he needs some lessons on how to pitch a product. His confrontational, zero-filter, self-assured attitude turned the sharks off.
Yes, I love this country.
It's ridiculous.
Fast. And when he noticed the sharks weren't taking the bait, the insults started flying.
You were out from the moment you sat down.
You call me insane?
No, your valuations were insane.
One of the most memorable moments of the pitch was when Jordan gloated about having Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak on his advisory board.
Oh, I have a call that I need to make. Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple.
He tried to use it as leverage, hoping to lure the Sharks in. But that didn't play out very well for the Sharks. In a Shark Tank first, the Sharks were on the receiving end of the infamous line they're known for throwing at contestants. And for that reason, I'm out.
So, I'm out.
And it only got worse from there. This attitude didn't sit well with the otherwise calm and composed Robert Herjavec, who grew extremely frustrated by Jordan's tone.
Why would you say a comment like that to Mark?
Even Kevin O'Leary, who's known for being tough but fair, was caught off guard by the arrogance. And Kevin, he doesn't get thrown off often. Damon John ultimately called the pitch rude, while Mark Cuban didn't hesitate to say he wouldn't waste another second of his time. It's no surprise why the Sharks rejected the pitch. And it wasn't just because of the product. The real reason? The entrepreneur's attitude.
Kevin, you're out. You're out. I don't need you.
Despite walking away with no deal,
Bye-bye.
Scott Jordan's technology-enabled clothing eventually evolved into Scottivest, a niche brand that caters to the tech-savvy consumer. Unlike his pitch, the brand's performance? Solid. The company found success in a specialized market, offering wearable clothing that could hold gadgets in a more seamless, integrated way. By 2023, Scottivest was pulling in over $10 million annually, with over $50 million in lifetime sales. Arrogance may have cost him a deal on Shark Tank, but his persistence paid off. He managed to turn his idea into a successful brand, but only because of its innovative and practical approach to tech-integrated clothing. Miles Penn M. Tailor. Miles Penn's Shark Tank appearance is a textbook example of how confidence can backfire when it borders on arrogance, just like the other pitches on this list.
Hi, I'm Miles Penn. I'm here from San Francisco.
Pitching M. Tailor, an app that measures users for custom-fit clothing, Penn came in swinging with bold claims. He showed off his app as being 20% more accurate than a professional tailor, and called his business a game-changer in the fashion industry.
150 grand a month in revenue.
But it didn't take long for his confidence to shift into confrontation, especially when he brought up supply chain issues that had dramatically cut down his revenue.
Supply chain issues, so this past month we actually had 130.
He tried to justify the issues by saying they would have made $130,000 in revenue if everything had gone smoothly.
It's a big hiccup. That's a 50% miss.
His argument? He claimed the Sharks' connections could solve his supply chain problems, which was the real reason he was there.
Frankly, I'd never done supply chain before.
But Chris Sacca wasn't buying it.
Your existing investors willing to invest at the same $25 million price, or are you trying to take advantage of the Sharks here?
And that was just the beginning. Penn walked in seeking $2.5 million for a 10% equity stake, but he failed to justify it with meaningful sales numbers. Instead, he leaned into awkward comments and an air of unwavering arrogance.
I'm not trying to take advantage of anyone. I think it's a fair deal.
While the Sharks found his technology interesting, his unwillingness to compromise was making them frustrated. Kevin O'Leary even offered him a loan of $2.5 million at 7% interest in exchange for 2.5% equity. But Penn? He wasn't confident enough in his product to accept it.
Unfortunately, we're interested in equity partners that are going to be fully invested in the company.
Instead, he walked away with no deal. Damon John also made him an offer, $2.5 million for 17.5% equity. Considering the uncertain valuation, this was a generous deal, but guess what?
By all means, go ahead. I'm out.
Penn refused. His refusal prompted Mark Cuban to shut down any further negotiations, saying Penn clearly had a case of overvalued arrogance. Despite the fallout, M. Tailor still managed to grow outside of Shark Tank. The app gained traction, amassing over 600,000 downloads and generating steady revenue. By 2020, M. Tailor was valued at $15 million and had carved out a niche in the made-to-order clothing market, reportedly earning $4.4 million annually. While Penn's business found success after the show, his appearance on Shark Tank is remembered for all the wrong reasons. Despite his innovative idea, his attitude and his unwillingness to work with the Sharks ultimately overshadowed his business's potential, proving that attitude can make or break a deal. But even so, Tailor did about $13 million in yearly sales by the end of 2022. That's still lower than the $25 million valuation. Maybe not taking the loan was a good idea after all? Want to see more outrageous Shark Tank moments? Hit that like button and subscribe for more. Maneesh Sethi of Pavlok. Maneesh Sethi stepped into the Shark Tank in 2015 with a pitch as shocking as his product.
My name is Maneesh Sethi and I'm from Boston, Massachusetts.
Pavlok, a wearable device, aimed to help users break bad habits by delivering an electric shock whenever they gave in to temptation.
Simply press the button and Pavlok releases a mild electric sensation.
It wasn't your everyday fitness tracker, but the sharks couldn't hold in their laughs at the idea. Pavlok promised to condition users out of smoking, overeating, or even nail biting by combining wearable tech with a dose of behavioral psychology.
Users have had incredible success in changing their behaviors.
So he made his entrance with confidence, but it didn't take long before his pitch started feeling contentious. What the sharks noticed was that Maneesh was being smug, so Kevin countered his smug with an offer of $500,000 as a loan, at 7.5% interest for 24 months, in return for 3.14% equity.
Give me the 3.14% as equity today.
Maneesh just didn't want to partner with Kevin. Maneesh's tone was dismissive and condescending throughout the pitch. Lori Greiner and Mark Cuban were initially interested in the potential of the product, but it didn't take long before they started disassociating with Pavlok as the presentation continued.
I can't work with you.
Why not?
I'm just worried that if we work together...
You don't like him.
I do like him as a person, but I feel like as an investor in the company it would be really bad.
Towards the end, the sharks criticized not only Maneesh's business expertise, but his attitude, which they felt overshadowed the product's innovative concept.
I would take an offer from anybody besides Mr. Wonderful.
You're a get the out of here.
Despite leaving without a deal, Pavlok found its audience eventually. The device reportedly generated over $5 million in revenue by 2020 and attracted a niche following of users committed to self-improvement. The sharks may have passed, but Maneesh will always be known as that rude Pavlok inventor who shocked the sharks with his attitude. Mr. Wonderful loves bashing fools and kicking them off Shark Tank.
You all out?
You. We're all out.
Done, Maneesh. Right.
Subscribe and help us reach our 10,000 subscriber goal for more bangers like this. Jonathan Boos of Wurkin Stiffs. He seems nice at first, but this guy really got under Damon's skin.
My name is Jonathan Boos, and I'm the owner of the men's brand, Wurkin Stiffs.
Wurkin Stiffs hit Shark Tank Season 2, asking for $85,000 in exchange for 10% equity in his innovative men's fashion accessory brand. Jonathan came in all fired up, talking about his revolutionary magnet system.
Collar was all large and in charge, and I couldn't control this thing.
That keeps shirt collars perfectly in place. A system that apparently was the solution to the floppy collar problem he'd personally dealt with. After some paper clips, magnets, and the obvious touch of genius, he had his first collar stay prototype. Once he passed around the samples, the sharks actually seemed interested.
Pretty special when we acquired 3 high-end men's specialty stores.
Kevin O'Leary raised an eyebrow when he found out Wurkin Stiffs was already in all Nordstrom stores.
Jonathan, you're the real deal.
Making Jonathan look a little less like a guy selling his idea from the back of a van. Then things started to get fun. Robert Herjavec asked about sales, and Jonathan dropped the bomb that he was expecting $1.8 million the following year.
Expecting 1.8 next year.
This guy was either really confident or completely delusional. Damon John wanted to know what Jonathan was looking for from the investment, and Jonathan responded like a guy at a bar. I want someone who can add value. Mark Cuban went out first, claiming he liked the product but wasn't the right fit.
I'm just not the guy to help you.
Barbara followed suit, claiming the same thing.
I really can't do anything for your business, so I'm out.
You could see the air go out of Jonathan's sales, especially when Damon seemed to hesitate. But then, Kevin O'Leary, in true Kevin fashion, swooped in with his offer. $100,000 for 30% equity and a 14% royalty.
I'll give you $100,000 for 30% of the business, but I want a 14% royalty.
The fact that Kevin's idea of a deal includes more royalties was a bit of a red flag for Jonathan, so he wasn't impressed and kept pushing for someone who'd bring more than just cash to the table. He basically cut Damond off mid-sentence to pitch him directly.
You're looking at me like I can't make this into a successful brand. That's what I don't get.
You see his hand right there? I still am not done talking. I'm out.
Damond was understandably done at that point. Kevin started lowering his equity offer because nothing says I'm the best deal like a new offer.
I'll drop my equity ask down, $100,000 for 20%, but I want the royalty to stay in place.
Robert jumped in with his own $100,000 for 30% deal.
I'll give you the $100,000 for 30%, no royalty.
And then Barbara went in, offering $100,000 for 20% if Damond would join her.
I'll be a front man, Dame. You never have to talk to this guy. You just enjoy his success. And you know I'm a great front man.
Damond, though, was all about the equity, stating that if he was going to partner, he needed 40%.
Can't take less than 40.
Oh, come on!
That was the deal-breaker moment. The Sharks were stunned. It wasn't every day a deal this audacious went down. So, of course, Jonathan jumped on Damon's 40% offer.
Yes, I would like to do a deal with Barbara and Damon.
He left the tank with a deal worth $100,000 for 40% equity. But here's the thing. The deal didn't actually go through as promised. As it turns out, Jonathan did end up benefiting from Damon's expertise after all. While the deal fizzled out on paper, Damon and Jonathan kept in touch. Thanks to some behind-the-scenes advice from Damon, Wurkin Stiffs is now a huge success, worth over $16 million with a booming product line and serious market presence. In fact, Wurkin Stiffs has become one of Shark Tank Season 2's best products, which is surprising considering how Jonathan kept speaking over the Sharks repeatedly.
I almost blew the deal with Damon because of my big mouth.
Damon had to have really believed in the product. Mike and Jeremy, Floatin' Grills. Mike Bashawati and Jeremy Quilico had a wild idea of a floating grill.
Hey there, Sharks. My name's Mike Bashawati. And I'm Jeremy Quilico.
Instead of showing up with a compelling pitch, they brought an attitude that rubbed the Sharks the wrong way. They came into the tank line asking for $200,000 in exchange for 20% equity in their company.
We're seeking $200,000 in exchange for 20% equity in our company.
But things got tense right off the bat. They paint a picture of a perfect day on the lake, grilling up burgers without ever leaving the water. They even brag about their viral video from 2018.
We had a post back in 2018 that went viral,
which got 4.7 million views. It's a pretty big number. But what they failed to mention was that their actual sales aren't nearly as impressive.
Hello, Sharks. Who's ready to get in on the action while the grill's still hot?
While Mr. Wonderful remembered them from their video and was having a laugh about it, he took that opportunity to call them out on their weak sales numbers. Mike jumped to defend himself, but his response came across as more condescending than convincing. "We had zero marketing," he says, as if that's supposed to explain the fact that they made only $19,400 in sales.
No. Listen, with zero marketing,
Kevin wasn't having it, so he cut him off. Instead of owning up to the lack of real traction, Mike kept digging himself deeper, insisting that the sandbar community is just dying for their product.
The sandbar community has rejected you.
But Kevin's face says it all. And it's not just him. Daniel Lubetsky starts questioning the whole concept too.
Or is there a reason why they couldn't do that themselves? What is your patent covering?
But Mike keeps pushing and tries to convince the Sharks that their grill is the next big thing. Things get even more tense when Daniel Lubetsky steps up with an offer, $200,000 for 50% equity. He's offering them half of the business, basically calling it a sink or swim situation. But instead of graciously listening, Mikey immediately rejects the offer, saying they can't go that high, and comes up with a counteroffer. Then, instead of keeping it cool, Mike and Jeremy try to throw in a messy deal involving a loan and royalties, even though the Sharks are clearly fed up. It's almost like they thought their product could override basic business principles. Daniel finally came back with a revised offer after some tense back and forth. $100,000 and a $100,000 loan for 22.5% equity, along with a loan at 7% interest. He also wants 50% of any licensing deals he can secure for them. The deal went through. It's clear that Mike and Jeremy's rude and defensive attitude cost them a better deal. They left with a bargain, but it was nothing like the sweet spot they had hoped for. If you don't treat the sharks with respect, you'll end up with a deal that's not exactly what you were hoping for, or nothing at all. What do you think? Did Daniel make the right move? Or did he board a sinking ship? Or in this case, sinking grill? Let us know in the comments below. And subscribe for more bangers like this. Thanks for watching today's video. We'll see you in the next one.